Good day. My name is Martin Schweiger and I'm a patent attorney in Singapore and also a powerlifter. So loud. And friendly people. Today is the 30th of May 2025. It's a Friday. I'm back in Singapore for 10 days already. I was 5 weeks in Europe, most of the time in Germany. And I got so used to the time and rhythm in Europe that I'm still, after 10 days back in Singapore, I'm still suffering from jet lag. Some weird things, like last night I could only sleep at 6 a.m. in the morning, Singapore time, which is midnight Germany time. I woke up at something like 9:20. And I'm feeling exhausted a bit because of that. But still, I take the time to do my daily walk. I'm trying to do 10,000 steps, as you know, in average. And that usually works in average. Like last Saturday, which is 6 days ago, I walked 26,000 steps, and that is a lot. That would balance out days where I only walk 5,000 or 7,000 steps. I can feel that I'm become a bit lazy and complacent with a healthy lifestyle. But it's okay. My body weight is not bad. I had on Monday or so 105 kg, which is more than what I had the week before, but I believe 1.5 kg, but this 1.5 kg is really not significant because it is all about water gain. I also had some carbohydrates, more than normal. And whenever I eat carbohydrates, then I also gain water. That's very fast. I've investigated that before, and I will dive deeper into it in the final week before my next competition, which is in Japan on the 12th of July. It is my plan to massively lose weight by then. So that's about 42 days out from today, or 43. And in the week before, before the competition, I will gain weight by filling up my glycogen storage and water. But as I'm now really in a stable way, in the below 105 kg class, that should be easy. And so I reduce my weight. Ultimate goal is to be in the below 93 kg class. And ultimately have a body weight of 80-ish, 86, 88, 89 kg, but not so fast. That would take at least another 2 years. And it's very slow. But it's okay. I saw somewhere that for older people, having less body weight is better looking than being muscular or even fat. So that's where I'm heading. Just to let you know, as you walk through Singapore, we have here a massive temple, Buddhist temple. Here, massive. I see monks coming in and going out all the time. And I believe right next door is a Hindu temple or Indian. I don't know. See here, you have the Hindu temple. So now about weight loss. Yeah, I lost about 30 kg body weight since I started this program in January 2024, which is 17 months ago. Almost exactly to the date. And that's quite convincing, I believe. Because more people wanted to know how I did this. And weight loss comes both with loss in body fat and also with a loss in muscle mass. In my case, I could partially convert the lost fat mass into one muscle mass during the preparation for my latest competition in February 2025. But then I was in Germany for these 5 weeks, and I don't think that this didn't cause damage because I didn't train at all for 5 weeks. I mean, when I say train, I mean strength training, lifting weights. What I did is I did my daily walks, mostly. So that was good. But I still need to find a way for strength training when I'm traveling. It's simply too complicated to hope that there would be a gym around. Do you still remember what this is? This is a chewing gum sales machine. I haven't seen this for a very long time. Here's a typical local market in the heartland. Okay. And a food court. Yeah, so I'm walking, trying to be in the sun, catching some vitamin D. And the sun is also good for other stuff. Yeah, being under the sun daily for 1 hour is quite good. Yeah, I wanted to talk with you about ketosis and blood glucose and insulin and how they are linked, and why fasting is not only an option, it's a must. It's all linked, and that is why it doesn't really matter where you start explaining that. I start today with someone that did an allergy test. I don't know how they tested for the allergy, but the outcome was that this someone is highly allergic against grains like barley, wheat and oats, and that person is also not old, 24 years old, but he can see the impact of his lifestyle, which is mostly sedentary, means a lot of sitting in front of a computer. And he has also a family, a young family of 3, means a wife and a daughter of 1 year age. And he's very active in a church and also has a good job, well paid. But this lifestyle takes its toll. So he's getting fat and worried about his health. I'm also worried about health because it doesn't take long to fall ill from such a lifestyle. My recommendation is to stop eating carbohydrates and instead eating protein, fiber and fat, healthy fats. And then he says that he gets carbohydrate cravings, and I don't think that this is an objective observation. Number one, he said he gets carbohydrate cravings when he is in ketonic mode. And number one, I doubt that he is in ketonic mode, because I know from my own experience how difficult it is to get into ketonic mode. And ultimately, it only works for me if I'm fasting. I know because I can measure the amount of ketones in my blood, and I have these finger prick tests. And it measures some values. It works like a blood glucose finger prick test, but for ketones, and you get the value from 0.0 to 3 point something. And I very seldom have values that are higher than 1.5, even despite dry fasting for one entire day, which I always do on Wednesdays. And my normal blood ketone value is about 0.2, and that's clearly not ketonic. So I would recommend to this someone to start measuring the blood ketones. And I don't think that he ever is in ketonic mode. And even if he is in ketonic mode, by not eating carbohydrates, the body may run on the ketones that are produced by the liver from the fat that he is consuming. And now you see already that there are two ketonic modes. The one ketonic mode is the one that is producing ketones from the body fat. And that one can only be reached if you're in a calories deficit. And the other ketonic mode is when you run the body on ketones that are produced from external fats. And the problem is that the body, I mean, you cannot eat pure fats, because that would mean that you drink oil. Even if you eat butter that has some proteins inside. And the problem is that the body can create glucose from proteins. So unless you really live from pure fat, I don't think that you will get deep into ketosis. And that's also why I think that this keto diet is working for most people. I told you about my friend Rudy, who passed away because of cancer, and what I heard is that he was on a keto diet and very surprised that his cancer didn't stop, because some expert told him that if the body produces ketones, the cancer cells will die or starve. But the truth is, that you need to move the body into autophagy. And autophagy means that the body eats itself. So Greek from auto, self, and phag, eating, or and you would only get into autophagy if you are in a heavy calories deficit for an extended amount of time. And that would come with, of course, ketosis, because the body needs to produce energy. And ketosis is then done from the body fats. So, yeah. And only the autophagy would then also examine the cancer cells in the body and dissolve them and reassemble the parts for other useful things, new cells. So yes, ketosis is good against cancer because it's a state of the body that is followed by autophagy if there is an extended calories deficit. But just keeping the body in ketosis production by not eating carbohydrates anymore and instead eating fat and of course protein that comes with the fat doesn't bring you into autophagy. That's a false hope. And I really recommend that anybody who hears this message, who's trying to get into ketosis by without having a calories deficit, this will not work, as my dead friend Rudy would attest to. No, if he could. That's also linked with another issue, namely the cancer being a metabolic disease. And it's an inflammation, and very often this inflammation goes together with visceral fat, which means a fat that is around the inner organs. And that comes with all other complications, and sometimes with cancer, especially of the inner organs, because the visceral fat is a trigger for inflammation, because it shouldn't be there. The fat in the belly should sit between the skin and the belly muscles and not inside the belly. I believe that that is the healthy body fat that you can store for bad times, but not the visceral fat inside the belly. So, if someone has cancer, then one of the first things I would recommend is, of course, measuring the VO2 max, because that gives you an indication about the mitochondrial health, because we know cancer cells thrive on fermenting glucose, even in the presence of oxygen. That would result in a reduced VO2 max value. So you know that there's something wrong, and you can at the same time use that value for observing how you get healed. In other words, how your body heals itself. The second value is to measure the visceral fat. I bought a bathroom scale last year, and that comes with a measurement device for body muscle and for body fat, and it has a value for the visceral fat. And I have shown to myself that I can bring down my visceral fat by fasting, walking daily, calories deficit. So these are the two measurements that I would do for monitoring my cancer healing. And by reducing the visceral fat, you address other issues that are linked, as I told you. The autophagy would directly eat up the cancer cells. And also, the body would produce much less insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is produced by the pancreas, and it causes all sorts of growth in your body for example, when you see someone with skin tags, these little warts that you have here. Actually, I had also skin tags, I believe. Where is it? On one of the two sides, there are two dots, because I got them here, right? I got them removed by a doctor. He burned them out with some sort of soldering iron. Yeah, and they're still 2 years after the surgery. I still have the scars. So, and that was because I had the metabolic syndrome. And that can also be named as insulin resistance. Insulin resistance means that insulin is no longer in a state that it can drive the glucose from the blood into the cells. So the answer would be more insulin. And the body tries that, and you can measure that. Unfortunately, there's no continuous measurement available for insulin in the blood. And that's also a clear sign that you have a metabolic disorder, but maybe in an early stage. And now here comes the link with the blood glucose measurement. It could be that you have normal fasting levels for blood glucose. Or there's another value, the long time value, HB, whatever, 1C or so. And that is caused by the body itself by overproducing insulin. There's a certain range where the body can drive all the blood glucose into the cells by overproducing insulin. And the entire body looks normal. And still, it's not healthy because it's producing too much insulin, which then would result in other problems from the too high levels of insulin. Like skin tags. So when you measure the blood sugar with a lab, which I do every 6 months or so, next time would be in July. That must come with a measurement of the insulin level. And then there are some formulas to calculate whether or not you're in a metabolic syndrome. Could be pre-diabetes. So in very short words, that is linked. So now, if you don't have an online measurement, for your blood insulin, then how would you know whether your body produces insulin, and how would you find out what foods to avoid? Because it's all about the food. And I still also believe that you can even heal cancer by eating the right food. Probably you would need to cut out large amounts of cancer cells if they are concentrated in one part of the body. But you cannot cut out all the micro cancer agglomerations, and that must be done by the body itself, preferably by running the body in autophagy. So what I would do is take the continuous blood glucose meter and try to avoid large spikes as they occur when you eat fast burning carbohydrates like flour, or you drink a lemonade that contains sugar. It's also a nice view of Singapore. We are now in the heartland of Singapore. You wouldn't find tourists here, and even I myself, as a white guy, is a rare appearance here. People mostly speak Chinese where we are now. So, and I see this all the time when I use my continuous blood glucose meter. I'm somewhere in a restaurant, eat something, and suddenly an hour later, quite accurate, is 1 hour 20 minutes, I see a sudden spike from whatever before the meal it was 5.5 or 6.0, and after the meal it's suddenly 9.0 or even 11 points, whatever, 12 maybe. And that all in a very short amount of time. And then coming back immediately to the old value. So I have this seldom longer, this raised blood sugar levels, seldom longer than 2 hours. And why is this so? Because, okay, the stomach converts carbohydrates into blood glucose, and suddenly there's a raised blood glucose level, and the body then tells the insulin, hey, get this into the cells. I don't want to have it in the blood. It's not good. Which the pancreas then does. And let's walk in here. Tim Ho Wan, Hong Kong food. Yeah. So, and that is done by issuing insulin. And that's when you have raised insulin levels. And if you do this for a long time, then the body keeps the raised insulin level and needs even more insulin to achieve the same thing. And doctors even give diabetes type 2 patients, which are the ones with a metabolic syndrome, insulin just to normalize the blood glucose level. And I find this, seriously, I'm now speaking as a car repair or vehicle repair mechanic, I find this not acceptable. Because the doctor is fighting the wrong thing, barking up the wrong tree. The problem is not the high blood glucose. The problem is that the body became resistant against its own insulin, so that the body can no longer drive the blood glucose into the cells with its own means. I would rather fight against the insulin resistance, and that is done, as said before. Bring your food in order so that the blood glucose spikes don't incur anymore. Lose your visceral fat. Bring your body in autophagy. And that will be your salvation. And again, I recommend and I show you to use fasting for that purpose. And not only the water fasting on Tuesday and the dry fasting on Wednesday, but also intermittent fasting on a daily basis. And I'm doing something like 16 to 8, which means 16 hours not taking food, but only water, tea or coffee, and 8 hours eating food. So now to the cravings. Yes, I also have cravings. And what I've done, I eat nuts, and I have a wide variety of nuts. And whenever I feel like being greedy for food, then I put a small plate together that consists of several nuts, and that gives me also very healthy input of minerals and healthy fats, which is good for my lipid panel. So I hope, yeah. My next blood test will be in 4 to 6 weeks. And then we see the outcome of what I've done for the past 6 months. More walking, less eating unhealthy fats, the omega-6, losing more weight. Yeah, I believe I'm 8 kg lighter than 6 months ago. And then we see. I will keep you updated anyway, but for today, I believe they've given you a comprehensive update of the interconnection between insulin, blood glucose, ketosis, metabolic syndrome, and others. There's another temple here, Buddhist temple. Hop. The midst of an industrial estate. Very funny. We are here in the Taiseng estate. I walk now back to the main road, and as I've walked already 50 minutes, start walking back to where I started. And again, I keep you updated. Goodbye.